Hello again, I'm Smino. Let's settle for the details now. Now, there was confusion between the NDC and the AG's office in court today over whether or not the Supreme Court has granted the NDC's request for the old voters ID card to be included in the compilation of a new voters register, while lawyers of both parties waited for the court at the court premises for the written order of the courts. The General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, told the media the Supreme Court had ruled in the party's favor. Listen.
Which has granted our request for the inclusion of the existing voter card as breeder document for the compilation of the register. And I think that we are most grateful. We think that this is the most substantive issue for which we came to court. So we will get back to office and we will address a full-blown press conference on the consequential matters arising.
But how does this make you feel, General?
Well, we feel vindicated because the court itself, in an earlier ruling, has clearly stated that the possession of an existing voter's ID card means that the holder is a citizen of Ghana who is qualified to be registered and to exercise his or her powers. And so the court couldn't have gone back on its own earlier ruling. And it did also admit that the right to vote, once it accrues to a person, cannot be taken back in a whimsical and capricious manner in which the Electoral Commission sought to do. So we want to thank you very much, and we'll get back to you when we are in office. The court has just...
What we know is that the Electoral Commission has been given the go-ahead to compile the register. We'll return to the court shortly. We'll speak to our correspondent, Joseph Akable, and bring you some legal perspective on this as well, on exactly what the court means in the reliefs it grants. Now, let's go back to the courts now and bring you some interview on the Supreme Court's verdict today as far as the compilation of a new voters register is concerned. We're joined on the phone by private legal practitioner Martin Pebu for some more analysis on this. Before then, let's speak to court correspondent Joseph Akable. Joseph, you earlier reported that the court granted relief 2 and 3 of the NDC's relief they sought of the court. Bring us more detail on that.
And so, Ernest, relief 2 specifically makes the point that the power of the EC to compile and review the voters register must be exercised subject to the respect for and the protection of the right to vote. And so the court held that indeed the EC must, in carrying out its mandate, it must respect and protect the right to vote. Relief 3 has to do with the fact that the court says the issuance of a voter identification card to a person gives the person that right, which the court has already stated earlier. And so those were the 2 reliefs that were granted. In terms of the orders, after the court gives a decision, they make orders. So the orders that the court made, the court said that the register should be compiled in accordance with CI 126. Now, the AG's office holds the view that CI 126 excludes the existing voter's ID card and birth certificate as well. And so that is it's a victory for them. But the NDC disagrees. And so we spoke to the General Secretary of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who says this is a victory for the party. As I speak to you now, lawyers for both sides at the court premises, they put an application for a copy of the decision of the court, and that is the order that we are all waiting for in order to get that clarity that we hope will settle this disagreement on what exactly should happen going forward. But the clarity is that indeed the commission has the power to carry out the compilation of the new voters register. That's not in doubt at all.
And so just for emphasis, Joseph, we know that the EC has been given the go-ahead to compile the register. What we are not sure of is whether or not they can do so with the existing voters ID and a birth certificate as a proof of nationality or identification, which the NDC is asking the court to compel the EC to do.
That is the case, Ernest. But we need to emphasize that the court's order was specific that the exercise should be carried out in accordance with CI 126. That is not in doubt at all. And so it's an issue of both sides disagreeing on that, but they are hoping that once they get the order, there is an order from the court.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable. Here's our man in court, bringing us all the detail from the Supreme Court today. Let's go to the other line now. Lawyer Martin Pibu joins us with some more education on this. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on News Today. Now, the court says that the EC can go ahead to do this, but in accordance with CI 166, and we know that that CI does not have, as part of the document you can use to prove your nationality or identity, the voter's ID, the existing voter's ID, and birth certificate. Should we take it as that the EC has sided, the Supreme Court has sided with the Electoral Commission?
No, my brother, at least from the little I've read, I thought some of the reliefs the NDC sought were granted. That especially when somebody is being registered and issued a card, that right to vote should not be arbitrarily taken away, which would mean that their own voter's card can be used. So you know what? If this is still creating a confusion, let's wait. The type orders will be delivered soon. Then we all can read in black and white what the Supreme Court ruled. Because I would be surprised that we've been told that their own voter's card cannot be passed. No, that's not it. Especially when there are previous Supreme Court decisions there, Abu Ramadan case, where they said the voter's ID card is prima facie evidence of the right to vote.
And it's very interesting that the court goes ahead to say that the EC must go ahead with the compilation of the register, but do so in accordance with law. But also says that the compilation must be done with regards to the CI which is available. And that creates a bit of a confusion there. We usually do not see this happening in court, do we?
It happens once in a while. You remember in 2016, they said that this issue about deletion of the name, it created some confusion, the Abu Ramadan case. So they have to go back to court for a clarification of the order. So every now and then, these confusions arise. But in terms of compiling this new register, I have stated it over and over. Look, a lot of us are truly scared. With this COVID, I don't see myself appearing in any line to register to vote. No, there's no way. We want to take such a risk.
And just before you go, it's a race against time, really. The EC has set a date, which is June 30. If there's the need for the lawyers to go back to court, do you see the Supreme Court fast-tracking this process to clarify this? Is it going to take a bit of a time, or it's just a simple matter of putting in a request and having the court speak in a much clearer language and terms?
As soon as they put in a request for a clarification, it will be done quickly, yes, considering that time is of the essence.
Thank you very much. That's private legal practitioner Martin Pibu joining us there with some education on what is happening. We await the written orders of the court. Hopefully that will bring some more clarity to the directives given by the Supreme Court today on the very important issue of the compilation of a voters' register.